Uh, Hi, hello everyone. So let's start this. Please first be welcome to our webinar about freelancing and company setup in Portugal. Thank you for your time and for your attendance. And also thank you to our partners of this event, which is Noumena, which is a is a app for freelancers and solopreneurs. And you can connect it through this QR code inclusive with me, like after this presentation, I will upload my PowerPoint presentation in this none, and you can have free access and send your friends or just get some more information for later. And also the base co-working, which is co-working in Lisbon and in Ericeira as well, quite cool if you need some co-work spacing. Thank you all, thank our partners. And let's start. So first things first, my purpose with this webinar is provide you guys a clear overview around start your activity in Portugal as freelancer or as a company or both, if you want. And so first, what I am to be here trying to pass you this overview, I'm a lawyer. And I have over 14 years experience. The first years of my career, I was working in the court and in the ACE office. And in the last 10 years, I work in law firms in 4 different countries in corporate field and also with private transactions. So I work, and now I'm more focused on corporate planning and tax planning, which, as you guys will see, they work very closely. And sometimes you decide if you are going to start your activity as freelancer or through a company from a tax assessment. So, and to pass you all this overview, I'll pass you through these 3 points of our agenda. That's what we're going to see today. So first, I will talk about basics, which are the essential things and registries you have to have in order to register yourself as freelancer in Portugal. Then I will talk about the freelancing activity, how you start it, and some basic duties. And then in the end, I will talk about some company setup. And I will bring to you guys the 2 most popular types of company we have in Portugal and the one that the most clients choose to incorporate. And in the end of the presentation, we will have a session for Q&A so you guys feel free to interrupt me during the presentation and make your questions. I'm included grateful for that. So this became more a dialogue and not a monologue. But if you it's more for quick questions. So if you guys have a very complex or more niche question, I'll ask you to keep it for the end. Okay, cool. So let's start. First point of our agenda is the basics, which are basics and essentials. Is this registered you have to have when you are in Portugal and you want to start your freelancing activity. The biggest and the first of all is NIF. You guys probably heard about NIF a lot. It's the Portuguese fiscal number. You need a NIF to do anything in this country, even not being a resident. So all these 3 things I'm gonna tell you now is for residents and non-residents. By the way, you can be a freelancer in Portugal without being residents here, okay? And you can also open a company without live here. You can also be a company's manager or director, also not being resident in Portugal. So this NIF, this Portuguese tax number, you have to request it with the tax authority. And you can do it in person or through a representative. So through a lawyer or solicitor or someone who can apply it on your behalf with a power of attorney. And there's one difference if you were one difference regarding your residence. So if you want a NIF and you have residence in one of the European member states, you don't need a tax representative if it's not mandatory. If you even being European, like it's not about nationality, it's about residence. You are resident in a third country, then you need a tax representative. It's mandatory you have a tax representative in order to request a NIF. And what is the tax representative? Well, it's basically this person who is a figure that intermediates the communication between you and the tax authority. So it's the person with resident in Portugal that will receive the communication letters. The tax authority here is still use a lot of paper letters. This tax representative will receive it from the tax authority and will send it to you. That's basically it. And here comes a important difference when I tell you about a tax representative for NIF purposes, because in the next point, we're going to see the tax representative for VAT purpose, which is for freelancer activity itself. So this one is just to receive communications, fine. Second thing you need to, if you want to register as freelancer, you need to get a social security number, which you apply before the Social Security Institute of Portugal. You can ask it in person or online, and you can also ask it directly or through a representative. And regarding the online request, even if the request you can do online, you have to go there in person to take your number. They just deliver the paper in person. So sometimes you are in another country, so you can ask online, but you will just have the number if you go there in person. So you may need a representative to go there with a power of attorney to take the number for you on your behalf. And once you have the NIF, you can ask for a bank account. It's the bank account preferable in a Portuguese bank. And the bank account will be requested also when you're opening your activity, when you're starting and register yourself as freelancer. So to register yourself as freelancer, you need to have a NIF, a NIS, social security number, and a bank account. And to make this bank account, you need to get a NIF. So it's necessary, a mandatory sequence of steps. Well, seeing that, now you're going for the freelancing activity itself. So you know already what the essential registries you need to have. Once you get it, you decide to go for freelancing, how you do it, how you start it, and why you start it. First, it's quite simple, like conversely to what I have clients who came from other neighbor countries. They said it was quite complex, bureaucratic, and expensive being freelancer in Italy or Spain. I've heard about it. In Portugal, it's quite simple. All you need to do is a register saying, I'm starting my activity as freelancer. I'm going to do this activity to the tax authority. And you can do it in person. You just move it here. You have your NIF, your NIS, and your bank account. We go with this document in person on the tax authority office, and you do this registration that we call, in a raw translation, open activity. Or you can do it online through the tax authority website that we call Portal das Finanças. And to access this tax authority website, you need a personal access. What happened? When you request your NIF, when your NIF is granted, you also have a access for this tax authority website. What happens that many people, they don't know about this access, so they never request it. And it's something quite simple. So you who are in this webinar, you can just enter on the tax authority website. I will call just website for now, okay? And you just request this access, and the tax authority will send you to your address or to your tax representative address a letter with this access. And with this access, you access with the login details, you access the website, and you can do many things there, including register yourself as freelancer. Where comes the problem? Because most of information of this website is in Portuguese. And when it comes to registries and other these formalities, it's a bit tricky because it has some quite formal questions that you don't not always know. So if you have doubts about that, it's better you get some assistance from some professional or someone who can do it, other than just make information by yourself, make it wrong, and run the risk of paying taxes over that. because in the end of the day, it's a tax duty, and it's your duty provide correct information to the tax authority. Okay. So once you have the registration, you have to know about some very basic duties of a freelancer in Portugal, which is you have to have a mandatory insurance for work accidents. This is mandatory for all freelancers. And depending of your activity, you also may have to have another type of insurances. For example, the civil liability insurance. Me as a lawyer, for example, I have to have the civil liability insurance. It's mandatory. And some other activities are, most of them has just the basic work accident insurance. And which are the other duties, and these are tax duties of a freelancer. After you make the registration, you have to issue the invoices related to the services you're providing, and you have to pay attention on your VAT duties, because when you register yourself as freelancer, you make an information where you say the projected revenue is the revenue you expect to have in that year, or in the proportional remaining year, depending which month you made that. And if this revenue is under than 12,500 euros, you are tax VAT exempt. If it's over this threshold, you have to start to pay VAT. And then you question, okay, but it's just a projection. I could put it on 12,500, but then in the end I make more. Good, fortunately, you made more. That's a good news still. What you have to do is for the next year, up to you have a deadline, say mistake, up to February, you update your information before the tax authority. It's fine. And once you are not VAT exempt, you have to pay VAT. And the VAT is a tax that is paid by your final customer. And the VAT varies according who and where your customer is. So this has to be seen case by case according to your regime and according to your client regime. But an example is that when I say who and where your client is if your client is a company or an individual, and if your client is in Portugal, is in some other member state of European Union, or is a third country. And so the VAT will vary according to that. Another thing that varies on your invoice is the income tax that are withholding. This withholding tax will vary as well. So you have these basic tax duties of invoicing and VAT duties of invoicing, sorry, and pay attention on VAT duties. And on the invoice, you have the VAT and the income tax. Oh, that was bad. And the income tax. Taxes that you have to be careful and be very well informed when you are issuing your invoices. And for the end, about the freelancing activity is, so why you choose freelancing activities? Why you choose work as freelancer? Well, because in Portugal, it's easy registration, easy copy with, easy process, and it's also a tax benefited. Because the freelance in Portugal has... Sorry? Okay, let's move on. The tax benefits, the freelancing activities in Portugal has tax benefits for the first 2 years of activity. So from when you register yourself as freelancer, you have these benefits for the next 2 years. First benefit, you have social security tax exemption for the first year. So in the first year, I register myself today. I have 12 months without the social security duty to pay. After the 12 months, you have to start paying a mandatory tax. Second benefit is the income tax reduction in the first 2 years. which is the first year they give you a reduction of 50% on the calculation and the coefficient. It's basically the calculation basis. And second year is 25% reduction. And third, and this third benefit is not only 2 years, it's forever, but limited to 200,000 euros revenue yearly, which is the use of just 75% of your revenues to calculate your income tax. To give you, to make it simpler in numbers, because this percentage and all that stuff, tax is just complicated by itself. I'll take a very simple number of, if you make 100,000 Ks a year, and you have an income tax of 35%, let's assume, you will pay 35% over 75,000 Ks because it's 75% of that. And why is that? That's because it's assumed that the freelancer, that 25% of the freelancer revenue is expended with expenses. It's expenses basically. So they take this off to the calculation of your income tax. And this is quite benefic. So this was the freelancing activity. And for last, just a highlight that freelancing activity is just for services. If you are selling services, if you want to sell services and products, and sale of products or just products, you have to go through another regime, which is this ENI. ENI is kind of a company, but not exactly. It's some hybrid, some hybrid of figure. Why is hybrid? Because it doesn't have one of the main advantages of a company, which is limited liability. Or the opposite. The ENI is almost a freelancer, but for selling products. And you have some small difference, like you can choose another different accountant scheme or that stuff. And the disadvantage thus is because it has unlimited and personal liability of the sole shareholder, which means doesn't have that limitation that real actual companies has. So this, you see that this from 1 to 3. 1 is the simplest company, and I still say company because it's hybrid regime, and to the most complex and complicated company, which is the SA. It's and in the middle, we have the LDA, which is the practical, accessible, and easier company. And you guys know, now we're going to speak about the LDA and the SCA, which are real actual companies. And both of these companies, although just the LDA has on its name, both companies, they are limited liability. And they are the most popular companies in Portugal. And to one of these, the most popular still is the LDA, which is a company by shares. Which is the main difference between both? Well, first, how you can incorporate a company like this. So the LDA, there is no minimum share capital. The share capital minimum is the minimum of a share per partner, which is €1. So if you have a company to have at least two partners, you have €2. If it's 3 partners, €3. 4 partners, €4, and sequentially. And even saying that a company has to be formed for at least 2 partners, in Portugal, we have a variation of this LDA, which is the sole proprietorship company, which you can just be one sole partner on your LDA. And it's a LDA, it's a company just as the other, but it's allowed just be done by one partner. And the share capital of these both companies. Oh, sorry, let me go back a little bit to then explain how is the share capital of the SA, so you guys can see the difference in a comparison. The SA, you have a minimum share capital of €50,000. You cannot incorporate a SA company with less than €50,000. And you have to have at least 5 shareholders to incorporate the company. You have to be at least 5 partners. There is one exception to that when the shareholder can be a soil, but it's when the shareholder is not an individual, it's one legal entity. For example, is another company, then is the exception. But the rule is 5 shareholders. And regarding the share capital of these both, you can pay the share capital with cash or with assets, but both you cannot pay share capital with just work, just services. They're not allowed, because I have some clients who came up and they ask, they say, no, we are making a company. My partner will put the money and I will put my work. You can't. You can do it in another type of agreement. You can put a price to your work and represent it in money or an asset, but you can put it in service. The service itself is not allowed to be considered part of share capital of these 2 companies. And how works the shares of these companies? The LDA has the shares we call quotas, and this quota has a minimal value, which is €1. That's why we say the share capital is at least €1, because it's the value of 1 quota. And conversely, on the SA, you have the shares, and the shares have a minimal value of 0.01 cent, which is very reduced. Because, like, you guys have an idea, the SA can be a public company, can be a public stock company, or can be even a anonymous company, a private one. And they have this different structure. That's why you can have many shares with way lower value. And the shareholder responsibility, what's it? Is the limited liability. Both are limited to the share capital of the company and to how much you as partner supposed to pay off this share capital. Your liability is limited by that. And which means that your personal assets are not paying by the company's debt in rule, in general, unless, of course, it's provided later by exceptions exist, right? Always. So that you use the company in a wrong way and that stuff. But rule to know about companies, as assume everybody's using company here to make a great business, is the liability is limited to the share capital of the company. And for the end, as I said in the beginning, the essential and the basic needs to individuals start a freelancing activity, what they need to have. I'm also talking, to be fair, the basics and the essential information you guys need to know and decide in order to start your company. Of course, alongside the company process, incorporation, and even after, you have many other things to decide. But these are just basics to you really start the process that can be quite fast, or you can slow down as you don't have these things decided. And what are these things? So you need to decide the name for your company. And the name can be, you can pick this name. And if you wanted to choose this name, you have to apply for a name certificate that takes up to 5 work days if you don't ask with urgency. And after 5 work days, you get this name certificate. Or you can say, you know, I don't really care about name. Any name for me, it's okay. I just want a legal entity. You can choose a name of a pre-approved list of the company's house, and this name is for free. To choose a name and to apply for that, you have to pay an administrative fee, which is €75. And to just choose any name of this pre-approved list is for free. And you don't have to wait 5 work days. It's just immediately at the time. And you also can choose for free immediately at the time without having to wait if you want to name your company with your own name. So you can choose even your own name followed by the company sector, for example, the company activity, or just your own name, like the first and the last surname. For example, could be Bruna Eid, video producer. My activity is video producer, LDA. That's it. Or Bruna Eid, LDA. This is also for free, immediate. You don't have to wait. Just go for it. Another thing you need to know in order to start your company is the address, where your company is based. Because for And you need to have it very upfront in case you want to choose the name of your company. Because when you are filing the company's name certificate, you have to say already the company address and the business purpose of the company. If you don't have it in mind, you just take you longer to apply for the name and to apply for the company incorporation itself. So you have to have a name decided, or choose certificate or not. You have to have an address. You have to know the share capital and when you are going to pay it. Because the share capital of a company don't need to be paid immediately when you incorporate it, when you create your company. It can be paid immediately. It can be paid in 5 days after incorporation, or it can be paid until the end of the first year. So let's say we open a company today, it's May 9. You can pay the share capital, which means you have all this time to make the deposit of the amount on the company's bank account until December 31st. That's what this means. And you can choose it. So when you open your company, you say share capital, 10,000 euros. I'm paying till the end of this exercise. That's it. And for the end, but not is also a essential, is who will be the manager of your company. Many of clients, they're just the manager themselves, mainly if it's a soil proprietorship company, a soil proprietorship LDA company. They're the manager themselves. And what is important to know the manager? Because to be, as I said in the very beginning, to be manager, director, shareholder, you need to have an if. So if you need a company for a few days, and this really happens, you have clients, they just show up and they need a company for 2-3 days, and you don't have an if, what will delay your process to open your company is not the company incorporation process. It's because you need an if before. So if you get in the end and your manager is not you, or you don't have an if, or is someone else you wanted to hire, but the person is also a foreigner or something, it doesn't have an if, this will delay your process. And well, guys, that's it. I hope it's being clear. And I hope I fulfill my purpose today of pass this clear overview to you guys know both options you have when you start an activity in Portugal, if by freelancing or if by a company. First, to decide it, what I do recommend is make a tax analysis and a business projection and decide which way worth it more for you. And once you decide, you know already you are prepared to explore these both options. That's it. And well, as I said also in the beginning, this PowerPoint, it's for you have information for later, and also share with your friends who didn't have the opportunity to watch, and maybe they are also thinking about coming to Portugal or do business in Portugal or anything. Feel free to share. And now we are going to our Q&A session. And thank you so much for your attention. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Bruna. We have some questions on the chat.
Okay, I will read the chat, but you guys can also talk. They're not mute, are they?
They can yeah, unmute and talk freely, no problem.
Okay, so what's the implication of not being a managing partner compared to just being a partner, please? Well, the implication is the responsibility of the decisions taken on the company. When if for some reason, this is exception, okay, really, this is very exceptional. But if for some reason your company had some tax issues and they want to accuse you of being that like consciently, you can say, look, but I'm just shareholder. I'm not managing the company. I put my manager here to answer to you. That's the main difference. Okay. But the implication is just on the bad case if something really bad happened. But in normal cases, like in normal daily corporate life, there's no implication. The difference is shareholder is one position. Manager is another position. Manager is the guy who manage the company shareholders, just who put the money there. Of course, many shareholders, they just run their companies. That's why they just keep the managing role. Some shareholders, they run the company without being the manager, and they run the company. So the implications are, they're not that that is about registries, basically. But both the shareholder and the manager both need to have the NIF that I said in the beginning. And I hope it's clear. If it's not, you turn to ask again. If you have some specific concern about that, you can ask. Let's see next. How can someone from the third country do it totally online without being in Portugal? Well, Sama, you can hire me. You can do it online, totally online, by hiring a representative to do it on your behalf here in Portugal. And you have to grant a power of attorney. This power of attorney has to be legalized. And what we used to do is, when I have a client that wants to do everything online, I just make a as complete as possible power of attorney that includes incorporate the company, make all the declarations to this incorporation, including if you want to be the manager, but you as manager, I accept on your behalf that you are a manager, because it's a role you need to accept, and opening the bank account and get the access to pass to you. So you can do it through a representative that can be a lawyer, a solicitor, or someone you trust. That's the way to do it completely online from another country. And this includes from the NIF till the bank account, like the very end. The NIF of the shareholder to the bank account of the company. So it included all the process. It can be done online through a representative. Okay, next one, Vanessa. What if I'm already an employee for my main job here in Portugal? Is there any pitfall that I would have to be careful if I'm already have an if? Vanessa, freelancing activity is cumulative with employment relationship activity. Okay, you can have both, of course, unless your employment contract doesn't have some exclusivity clause. The both they're cumulative. You can have both. Many people have freelancing activity as side or extra work. You can have both. What you have to check extra is your social security, because what happened? As you have an employment contract, you have a social security payments already, and the freelance you will pay on the top of it under observed some limit. So if you're paying the top already, you probably may not pay something extra. If you're close, you just have to check the social security payments after the first year, of course, as exemption that you cite as tax benefit, but you definitely can explore both activities. And of course, to explore both activities, you just go through all the process. I talk about the freelancing registration before the tax authority. Yeah, next one. So you are open to being hired to help with that? Yes, Vanessa, I'm opening to be hired. That's my work, indeed. Guys, here on the PowerPoint, you can take my contacts. And if you have more doubts or you want to know more about my services, just feel free to reach out, send an email, or just a call. It's practical, it's simple. I can tell you how it can work and how I can help you guys. Okay, feel free. That's one of the purpose, the objectives of this webinar is you guys know the tools and the people you can reach out in case you have some interest to develop something in Portugal. We are here to help. And Osama, could this be useful to apply for a visa later? Yes, it could be useful because you have the entrepreneur's visa, so it could be useful. So if you have a company and you're also a manager of this company, you have the entrepreneur and the managing role, or you can have just like the managing role, for example. So yes, it can be quite useful. Yes. Could enjoy. Yes, Rui, you can have access to the recording. We are going to send all you guys we are going to upload this presentation on the Known, which is this channel I have inside Noumena, which is quite useful. So just send your emails You can either send your email here to the chat and I will pick all the emails later, or you can go in the very beginning of the chat and you can click on this type form and put your email and I will receive automatically and I will forward you the known, which is this channel, and also the presentation. And again, I had a nice consultation. Hey, Osama. Ah, yeah, we had. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's Osama again.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I have a question regarding the freelancing part.
Regarding what? Say again.
The freelancing part.
Okay, go on.
So if I don't exceed like 12,500 euros per year, I will not pay taxes on that. That's right.
You're not paying VAT. You're still paying income taxes,
Okay.
but you're not paying VAT, just the VAT, okay?
Okay. So it's not just the VAT, not
Yes.
the taxes.
This exemption, this limit is for VAT exemption only.
Okay, and you talked before about the minimum taxes that you should pay, which is like, let's say that you are making like 800 or like 900 euros per amount, maybe like 10,000 a year. So like you are not paying the VAT, but for the taxes part, you'll still pay that. Is there a minimum amount that you should pay per year?
To pay of the income tax.
Yeah, is there a minimum amount that you should pay?
Of income tax? No, the income tax will vary according to the revenue you effectively make. So you have like ranges of taxes. Like you can pay from, if it's just 10K, you can pay about 4% or something. And the income tax will vary according to the income you effectively make on that year.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let's go. Does unipessoal fit in any of the types? Yes, unipessoal fits on the LDA. So the LDA is a limited liability company by shares that can be made for one single shareholder. And when you have one single sole shareholder, it's called unipessoal. So yes, it's the unipessoal LDA. And what is the Portuguese term for freelancer? Joseph, the Portuguese term for freelancer is what we can translate for self-employed, which is also here in the chat, trabalhador independente. It's how they call it in Portugal. And okay, please send to them. Vanessa, we are sending the email for you. And Esteban here is sending the link again for you guys. Type and put your email there to receive the presentation as well. The VAT exemption, does it apply to companies? The VAT exemption of, apply to companies. I don't think so. That's because I never saw a company making less this threshold. Because look, if you have a company that is not generating revenue of at least 12,000 a year, it's better you consider if worth keep the company open, or if worth just exercise, perform your activity, do your thing through another regime, which could be the freelancing or the ENI, okay? For freelancers, for sure, for company, I have to check. Aureli, you can text me and I will check it and let you know. Okay, that's it, guys. You want a few minutes to make more questions? Depending on the region, can we get different taxes? Yes, Rui, you can have different taxes depending on the region you base your company and yourself as freelancer as well. Like Madeira, Açores, they have different and benefit taxation for individuals and for companies. And also in the continent of Portugal that we call continent, You can also have benefits for companies if they are based in the very regional countryside cities. Yes, you may have it. This is the type of thing we make analysis on specific consultations. When we make tax consultations for or to open the company or for tax optimization, we check this kind of stuff. This works for companies and for individuals. So if you guys want to go deep on explore your options for as freelancer and and as a company, feel free to reach me out. We can check it. But yes, do you know the tax varies according to the place you are, mainly about being the continent. In the countryside, you have benefits. Madeira and the islands, Madeira, Açores, for example, it does. And it does vary the income tax and the VAT as well. The VAT in Portugal is like 23%, but in the island is reduced to 15%, I guess, or is reduced. It's benefited. Well, that's it. Great, thank you. Let's wait a little bit more. Is everybody okay? Sorry. Okay, correction. The others who want, I just seen Vanessa here send her email. I assume all other of you send your email through this link that has a tab form. Is that correct? If it's not, just send your email or go to the link, please, and we'll be able to send you the presentation and to send you this none on this freelancing app that I will start to use more. It's like a channel to change information and to give these insights that may help you guys a lot in this overview, to build up this overview about your options in Portugal to be explored. Okay. Paolo as well. Here. Stevenson again, it's here the link. You guys can talk as well, okay? Then it's just not only me talking. I think is it. Hello, Grace. That's it, guys. Okay, good. That was a good session. I would like to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your questions as well. This webinar was built with the purpose again to build up to help you guys to build up this overview about how to start your activity in Portugal. If you want to go deeper and explore, now you are equipped to explore your other options. Feel free to reach me out. I provide consultations on the corporate structure and tax structure, and we can speak about your specificities and your circumstances, so you can have more driven decisions on this area. Yes, Vanessa, I'm based in Lisbon. Based in Lisbon. The office is in Saldanha, which is close to Marques. And I'm based in Lisbon for the last 4 years. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marco. Thank Grace. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me all this time, this monologue. I will present more webinars in the close future about the companies, the corporate matters, about contracts, about investment contracts, which is quite interesting for startups, because startups are in this scenario about need money and financing. So the investment contracts is for these early stage startups that might be interesting, and you guys will also be informed if you are registering this none in the Noumena app, or also by the meetup. Yes. Is there an estimation for your charge for a consultation? Depending what you need. The consultations for freelancing activity, it starts from 300 euros. And for company, I really can say, because company can enter in a very complexity thing. But I think from this starting point of the consultation for the freelancer that we have lots of, you can have some idea. But what I used to do is I have a call if you are making many questions, and I figure out your circumstances, and then I make a concrete offer for you. And the consultation for freelancers is quite interesting. I have few clients who they were ready to open a company, and when we make a consultation, they realized that wouldn't be a good idea at all. The freelancing activity was the first step to take to start the activity here. Because just you guys having a roughly idea, for example, if when I start your activity, let's say your company, but you are not projecting to have a revenue over than 200,000 euros, or many people is projecting like 60,000 euros a year. And if you're projecting to have this low revenue, this shorter revenue for at least the first 2 years, is quite benefited, it's quite benefic to have the freelancing activity, because then you have those tax benefits. So it really varies in depending of your business, of your projects, of your business plan, to the short term, which is like from 1 to 3, 5 years, to the long term. And one thing you can have in mind is you can start as freelancer and you can open the company next. It's not because you make one option, you have to remain forever with that option. So you can start as freelancer because you concluded, took a decision based on a consultation that option in the first 2-3 years is better for you, or first year. And later on you open your company. Because what is a key and turn point about that? Open your activity, start your activity as freelancer, you don't have expenses. And when you start your activity as company, you have expenses from the beginning. You have at least to pay monthly your accountant. And when you start as freelancer, you just have expenses, which are the tax you pay if you make money. If you sell your service, you issue an invoice, and then over that invoice, you pay taxes, which is different. And you can open easily, you can suspend your activity, say, I open my activity, but I start a master. I don't know. I decided just suspend it for a time. You can suspend your activity on the tax authority very easily as well. And you can even terminate and close the activity easily. When you have a company, it's a bit more bureaucratic, it's way more bureaucratic to terminate and to close this company. And until you close, you have duties rolling on. So that's why you have to really think carefully about that and to take the decision based on facts and actual information and on your project, on your business plan, where this is leading you. And that's it. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, are we good to go? I'll take silence as yes. De nada, Vanessa. You're welcome. Wow, that's it. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy the summer that is just starting in Lisbon. And reach me out if you want something else, some service, some consultation, or just some tip. Really, I kept your doubt about the VAT exemption for companies as well. You please text me. You send me the email I send you. You can answer with this. And that's it. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Nice evening.
Nice evening.